A very warm welcome to all you wonderful audience who've joined us today for the fourth edition of our annual virtual conference, that is Community Refocus 2023, a conference where community enthusiasts like us and you will talk about building dynamic connected experiences with online communities. My name is Sana Sachdeva, and I'm a senior marketing specialist at Griziti and your host for today. But I am not the only one hosting you today. And to share this virtual stage with me, I like to invite on stage my co host for the event, Rohit Thakur, who is a marketing specialist at Griziti. Hi, Rohit. I am so glad that we are hosting this conference today.
Well, thanks for the introduction, Sana. I'm happy to be here too. So, before starting off, let's just rewind a bit into the past, where we actually saw how online communities served as a cornerstone for many brands for maintaining that human connection with their customers. And we also saw that how this connection fostered with the onset of the pandemic. But eventually, as the circumstances evolved and we swiftly transitioned back to normal, I think this is where community engagement actually took a hit. And that's where the necessity to fortify branded communities with cutting edge tools comes into play. If you remember, Sana, in our last event also, we also talked about the advent of communities 3.0. And we
Yes.
saw that how brands are leveraging it to now offer an unmatched customer experiences. And this year, we are shifting gear towards promoting member centricity in online communities. So, Sana, I would like to know your take on this as well. What do you think about how organizations are going to react to this changing dynamics?
Well, definitely, Rohit. And I think to maintain that competitive edge, organizations need to develop strategies that are prioritize member preferences, right? And of course, their preferred means of engagement, which is where it becomes really essential to concentrate on the three key areas that we are going to talk about in the entire event, which is rethink, reconfigure, and reconnect. Isn't it, Rohit?
Well, absolutely, Sana. I totally agree to that. And that's what we are going to talk about in the next few hours. Building connected experiencing by encompassing the three key R's in communities. That is rethink, reconfigure, and reconnect. But before we get started, I'd like to thank you all for taking out time and being here with us today. I assure you that we have a power packed agenda in store for the next few hours. Also, I'd like to bring to your notice a few things before we begin. All attendees will be in listen mode only. If you have any questions during the presentation, please type them in the Q&A box right on the main screen. We'll make sure to bring them up towards the end of the discussion. And in case we have any disconnect, please be patient. We'll be back in less than a minute.
Well, thanks for all that information, Rohit. And for everybody who's watching us today, I would like to inform you that you can check our innovative line of products and services at our booth, which remain open throughout the event. So please feel free to connect with our subject matter experts 101. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted to let you know that we have exciting keynotes, panel discussions, Q&As, and many networking opportunities lined up for you today. Starting with a welcome note by our CEO, Alok Ramsisaria. He has over 25 years of marketing, technology, and consulting experience for large enterprises, startups, and the most complex software products. In the fast growing digital age, he has carefully curated the digital transformation of marketing and sales. He definitely provides mentoring and marketing momentum to Team Griziti. So here's our CEO speaking on how online communities are the central force behind organizational growth. Over to you, Alok.
Thanks, Anna. Welcome, folks, to the fourth edition of Community Refocus, our flagship community event. At Griziti, we have been building on community platforms for almost since the beginning of our existence in the last 15 years. And it has been my proud privilege at Griziti for all of us to be associated with some of the most leading communities that have been built by organizations, especially in the B2B world, but even crossing over into the B2C world. These include the first ever community on the Salesforce customer portal product, when it was not even a community product, and making it responsive. So we've been at the forefront of community innovation, whether it is building on Salesforce, Chorus, Vanilla, whatever platform you choose, we would come in and help you build an award-winning community. In fact, concurrent with this, today we are also sponsoring the ASP Online Support Portal Awards, where some of the judges will be showcasing some of these award-winning portals that we've helped build or have contributed to. But today, let's talk more about how we can drive more value, how communities are the focus of customer experience and can be used to shape the digital customer experience much more today than ever before in the post-COVID world. I hope you will today get to listen to a very wide phalanx of trusted leaders, thought leaders, consultants, practitioners from across the globe who have built some of the most exciting communities and are also making the transition to the community everywhere world that we see emerging. The next slide, please. During the pandemic, we saw a huge jump. In fact, some of the folks who measure these things have reported that 71% of communities have witnessed an uptick in their visibility, and a staggering 67% started, being the first point of escalation, urgency, primarily because all interactions moved online. Communities became a central point for customer and prospect to meet and discuss. Prior to Corona, obviously, communities existed more and more as extensions of organizational agendas. You would build a community to engage with prospects, encourage peers to support each other, and reduce your support costs. So engage with prospects, engage with customers, and reduce support costs. However, as all of us moved to become or digital natives or migrated to become digital immigrants during the Corona phase, I think the importance and our familiarity with all these watering holes on the net grew. So we learned how not to stay in one place, which is directed by the organization whose products we were using. Rather, we wanted to discuss them wherever we were. In fact, this trend started. Discuss allowed you to, discuss for the first time allowed you to post your comments on news articles. And I remember having a chat with some of the leading community platform providers. I said, that's what you want to do. Community everywhere is the way to go, because you want to allow people to discuss about issues and that affect them where people are present. The COVID era just enabled that, whether people are talking more on Quora or Reddit in the B2B world, or Facebook, or on LinkedIn, both B2B and B2C, people would go and discuss things where they wanted to. Now, as people would discuss, they would talk more about what they cared about rather than what the organization or the enterprise cared about. And we see the shift. Next slide, please. Sorry, I jumped the agenda. But what I expect to talk about, like I said, is communities everywhere. What kind of platforms we are going to talk about, which are driving value in this communities everywhere world. And then hopefully set the tone for the rest of the conference. Next slide, please. So, as I mentioned, from nice to have, Corona made communities a must-have. While they were extensions of organizational agendas, um, member needs, and the fact that we all became digital natives who had our preferred watering holes and digital bazaars where we hung out, that we wanted the conversations to move there, which forces enterprises to be present uh, where members are present. And in general, we also saw this explosion. I mean, Zoom went from a necessity to becoming morphing and trying to become like a community tool. Slack had already enabled forum kind of discussion on Slack channels. We've seen threading emerge in GChat, and WhatsApp also claiming that they have a community product. So all in all, folks, as they emerge into a hybrid world post-corona, also learn that they want to talk about things that they care about at the locations that they congregate, and tools and platforms enable that. However, that does not take away from the fact that companies still need to have authoritative watering holes or communities on the web where they can direct and drive enterprise value. However, they need to invest, even though there's been an explosion in the number of platforms, they need to invest in platforms, tools, and technologies that have enabled or that allow them to stay on track with this member centricity everywhere, and also aggregate the member behavior so that can drive insights, especially today with the AI driven world. Just one note about AI driven. I think we've all seen the keynotes at the OpenAI conference, and the amazing things that just ChatGPT 4 Turbo can enable. And I'm sure the convergence that we see on the community side as well will drive a lot of that value, which means that community managers and community professionals need to be on top, whether it is for leveraging AI for content generation, moderation, for creating much more value for their members so that members experience enough value for them to stick on into the watering holes that we want them to direct their attention to. Next slide, please. So, as I mentioned, communities everywhere is something that we are seeing emerge in the post-COVID world. There is multiple drivers that we see. I don't need to spend too much time on them. You're all experienced professionals, have seen this happen, whether it is developer communities, whether it is customer communities, whether it is marketing communities, whether it's support communities. The post-COVID hybrid world has created many more opportunities for the community professional to recast themselves as customer acquisition, customer marketing, and customer support destinations and professionals who enable that to happen. Next slide, please. And the tools and technologies that and the platforms that are available today, that especially we at Visiti are very proud to have sponsored, created, offered, and deployed, whether it is configuring platforms across the board. We see community platforms that have been around for almost a decade and a half re-emerge. Intranets on SharePoint seem to be an interesting direction that I have seen, and very new platforms have joined the space, each of them bringing something specific, and you need to choose the platform that drives the most value for you at this stage of your enterprise. But on top of the platform, you need to build integrations. You need to build connections to drive value, whether it is connecting with your ticketing system for support, it is onboarding using tools like WalkMe or GuideIn, gamification and badges. One use case that has always been driving a lot of value is ideas, and we've seen emergence of new tools which allow you to drive ideas directly from your community into your idea management tool. We offer one called Ideas Pro, and there are others that are available. As communities grow very large, dashboards help us make sense out of the activity on the community platforms that you're monitoring, whether these are social platforms or they are your own platforms. And tools like Community Helper and the moderation tools that we are now offering allow managers to be able to manage very large communities with much lower staff that today's budgets afford. But tying it all together, especially as we want to drive more value into our communities and drive more unified view of all content, whether socially generated or authoritatively generated from the enterprise, we see that search plays a critical role, and Search Unify has emerged as a leading platform from our company, which allows a lot of our customers to drive integration to offer a unified experience across data silos, across community forums, across for prospect, customer, partner, and employee alike. And we see that driving increasing value in a world where people spend almost 3 hours out of 8 searching for stuff. So at Community Refocus today, I hope we have an exciting lineup. Next slide, please. Of speakers, leaders, practitioners, friends, customers who have built some of the largest communities and continue to build and expand their community footprints. And we encourage you to use today to rethink, reconfigure, and reconnect, and hope that you go with as many widespread learnings from all the people here today. So welcome once again. I look forward to listening to our sessions here today.